Hello, Wake Up New Zealand. Carol Seeker speaking. Well, we should all be very concerned as this government puts our security as a nation at risk. Every community in New Zealand. What am I talking about? I'm talking about how immigration officers have been told to ignore criminal convictions, to just take migrants on face value, not to investigate, not to open attached papers with visas, to not to read supporting documents on visa applications, not to check work visas at the border, to accelerate migration much faster. So a completely corrupt visa regime happening in New Zealand. So immigration staff told Stuff New Zealand about their concerns about this visa regime. A senior official admitted that visas have been manipulated by bad actors. Now more staff have come forward and are speaking out. Many have actually left their job because this is a conscience call and they know what is right and wrong and they know this is wrong. There are serious issues right across the system, which include visitor, student, and work visas, and also residency. They're all being streamlined approach to be mandated, to be accelerated faster. So multiple officials have told staff they were told to ignore criminal convictions and investigations when granting visas and residency to individuals. They're told to not open and check attachments on visa applications, as this would delay the processing time. They were told to accept visas on face value. One officer tried to decline doing this, but was overruled by senior managers. So there was reported of great concern around this, and this has just gone over the heads of senior management. So officers have said they're deeply unhappy about the migration directives. A lot of officers have lost their job, gone elsewhere to work. Many were emotionally affected because they wanted to do the right thing, and they could see by just staying there, they were not going to be, this was not going to be overruled and it was going to keep on happening. So they opened up to the mainstream media to get it out there to the general public to make for change. So we're talking about migrants that have committed serious crimes and still issued visas. The deliberate ignoring of the risk of serious security in New Zealand that will be implanted into our society because this is already happened and it continues to happen. So immigration staff told to ignore alerts on those migrants coming to New Zealand that have criminal convictions. Border staff being told not to intervene when there are question marks on newly arriving work visa holders. Do not check them out, just let them go in. There's many tensions among customs officers who know this is very wrong. So there's reports of concerns of no action taken, referencing 200 cases a day of suspicion with arrivals. So suspicious arrivals, 200 cases a day crossing New Zealand's borders. This has put significant pressures and concerns on staff, and they're concerned about reducing security barriers, allowing, namely, a light touch assessment on face value. So last November, a general instruction to visa staff to reclassify some high-risk applications for a more streamlined approach. Removal of human decision-making by operating a system called ADEPT, ADEPT, PT means there is no records of errors or areas of concern. So the visa branch staff, under significant pressure not to open documents, just approve, just approve them all, referencing fake bank statements, CVs, references, and pieces of paper with words typed on them. Bless you. Bless you, Aotearoa, New Zealand. Welcome. Visa officers were threatened with performance improvement plans if they did not make enough decisions and so-called shout-outs. This is shout-outs to those who pass significant amount of visas at an accelerated pace. So these visa officers, these visa staff, migration staff have now spoken out, and because they couldn't see things changing, they knew that this would cause a security risk to New Zealand, a very high security risk to New Zealand, and they were told to close their eyes and just get on with it, just approve. And even the acting immigration officer who's in charge, Katriona Robinson, said the government agency constantly reviews and adjusts settings to speed economic recovery over the border, open borders. This is open borders to all. So whether they are criminals or not. So morale is very bad with migration officers, visa officers. They say that upper management will only listen if this hits the media. So that's what they've done. They're not going to close their eyes to this and just approve what is going on. Silence is consent. So this leaves New Zealand open, exposed to human trafficking, organised crime, illicit goods, weapons and drugs, and much more. Illegal migration by individuals, terrorist groups, jihadists, human trafficking. That's a global business bringing in billions of dollars every year of illegal profits, forced labour, sex trafficking, child trafficking through open borders. In February this year, the UN Security Council announced they warned all UN nation states that jihad was on the rise. They referenced jihad, ISIL, Daesh getting money, getting all their finances, much more wealth from gold mines in Africa, infiltrating gold mines in Africa. We are not aware of this warning. It was not passed on to us. So I go back to the Christchurch attacks. March 2019, the Royal Inquiry. Well, the Royal Inquiry into the Christchurch attacks, there were 17 community questions that were allowed to be asked. And one of those was, whom were the Christchurch Muslims scared of? What were they frightened of 5 years after those attacks? The answer was, at the time of Ramadan and leading up to Ramadan, Daesh and ISIL and ISIS, that's who they were scared of. Yet we have an Australian citizen that taxpayers are paying for, will cost millions and millions, that the government refused to send back to Australia, who, before these Christchurch attacks, was very, very comfortable in visiting Turkey, where tourist agencies were saying, Westerners, be very aware, it's very dangerous here because of ISIL Daesh, Islamic activist groups, dangerous, people being kidnapped, killed, etc. But Tarrant went there time and time again and even stayed there for lengthy times. So why wasn't he scared? One must ask, mustn't they? So, people, obviously, the UN has given all states, UN member states, including New Zealand, a warning. And here we are. We do not, these immigration officers are told not to investigate suspicious migrants, not to check criminal history, not to investigate those on visas, for residency, for work visas, student visa, just take them all on face value. This is what those political cronies in the cesspit of Wellington are doing to the people of New Zealand, to you, to your families, to your community. They are putting us at high risk of harm. So we've already seen what happened just not so long ago at a Newland supermarket. How many people were seriously hurt there? And soon, it just gets put under the table, doesn't it? Like it never existed. Wake up, New Zealand. This is what those that sit in the political toilet bowl of Wellington are doing to the nation of New Zealand, putting you all at risk of being harmed, of being killed. You don't know who is coming into New Zealand anymore. It is open borders. Wake up. This is serious shit.